Hi guys, welcome to my Kunimitsu tutorial. So what does Kunimitsu do? Like, was she strong at? Was she weak at? I will cover all this in this video. So she is a character that requires a lot of conditioning to her opponents to maximize her offense, to maximize her pressure, her damage potential. But not only that, she can also be played defensively because her backdash is quite good for a character like her. So she can play defensively, do her backdash being one of the best in the game. She can force whips quite easily compared to most characters. Her single backdash she goes really far. And of course, offensively utilizing her stances and her backturn mix-ups to apply pressure. So because her lows are pretty poor, like her lows are really bad, so she has to kind of rely on applying pressure in like weird ways, like very untraditional ways. So what is she good at? She has a strong backdash. She has really good punishment. So stuff, if you can master this, she has really strong punishment. And she has a great approach with her set tools, so for 3, for down into crouch, for hold back to block things immediately, to bait out things like bait out reactions with the set stance. So she has great, really strong approach with her set stance. She has scary FC options, so her down for 3, giving a free 4 for 2 afterwards. And of course you can complement this with mids or whatever. So she has a scary FC game. She has a very good jab and down for 1, so her jab has a really low hitbox, so it's very hard to crush under. And her down for 1 has really nice strings off. It has a high string and it has a mid string and mid as well. So her down for 1 has a lot of extensions afterwards. But unfortunately, she does come with cons. So her lows are maybe one of the worst set of lows in the game, because she usually has to give up return, or they're very low damage, or they're quite slow. So her down 4 is probably her best low, to be honest, just because everyone's down 4 is usually like one of their better lows anyway, so it's definitely the case for Kunimitsu. So I'm going to talk about, in the coming up sessions, I'm going to talk about her punishers, I'm going to talk about her pokes and neutral, I'm going to talk about how to use her set stance and how to apply FC from it. We're going to talk about her backturn mix-ups. We're going to talk about Katon and the MUS Stance, which is this. They're not very useful, but we'll talk about them a little bit anyway. And just my conclusion and thoughts on the character as a whole. So in this section, we're going to talk about her punishment. So before I go deep into her punishment, there's something that's kind of unique to Kunimitsu that I want to talk about. So her 4-4-4-2, which is it can be done fastest at 10 frame, fastest input with perfect execution. So you can imagine this would be a really strong punisher if the person using Kunimitsu has good execution. So why this is good is because it does 34 damage. It wall splats from really far as well. So it's definitely worth knowing. And also for lows especially, because her while standing punishment is pretty poor. So using this from crouching is really strong, because you can crouch cancel with forward motion. So this is particularly better for blocks lows as well. So other than that, let's talk about her punishment. So for standing 10 frame, she has 1-2-2, which is 26 damage and plus 4. For 12 frame, she has 4-2, which is plus 6 and 30 damage. And it goes into backturn mix-ups, which I'll go over in the later section. For 13 frame, she has 4-2-3, which is 32 damage, and you get knockdown wall splat, and it wall splats from pretty far as well. For 14 frame, she's CD2, which is a launcher, and you can buffer the input in block stun as well, so it's a bit easier to do than most launchers that has this similar input. For 15 frame, she has hop knee. Now you can do single hop knee or you can do double hop knees, depending on what your carry options are. If you're close to the wall, maybe it's better to do double hop knees for more damage. With single hop knee, you get a bit more carry, so it depends on what you want to do. For 19 frame, she has up back 3 plus 4, which is a 25 damage. It's just a beefier launcher. For while standing punishment, she has, for -10, she has stick jab, which is 5 damage and plus 6, and it puts her in the FC mix-up situation. For 11 frame, she has while standing 4, which is 15 damage and plus 5. It's not amazing, to be honest. For 13 frame, she has while standing 1-1, which is 26 damage and plus 3. Now you can kind of see why I'm talking about 4-4-4-2 being really good for crouching, because up to 13 frame, her punishment's kind of poor. So if you can do the knee, it really helps her while standing punishment a lot. For 14 frame, or 15 frame, she has hop knees, or you can do while standing 3, which is usually a better option to do. So while standing 3 at 15 frame. So that's it for her punishment. 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 So that's it for her punish So in this section, let's talk about what pokes and what buttons you'd be using at neutral at Kunimitsu. So to start with, her jabs are very strong, like some of the better jabs in the game because they have such a low hitbox, so they're very hard to crush under. So for example, like Marduk down 1+2, I believe, can crush under it. So moves like this, you know, her jab is very strong. But why it's strong is because of the extensions afterwards. So she has 1-1, for example. Now this is a natural this is natural +6 and 90 damage, right? But why this is strong is because it has follow-ups. So 1-1-2, which means you have to step this. So you can't do anything except for stepping this. But if you try to step, this can catch you. So you have to commit to like a very quick side step right block. But once you have them doing nothing and blocking after this, then that's where you can start opening up with your other moves, with your lows or with your grabs or with your set pressure, which I will go over more in more detail later. So you have a lot of like mind games off 1-1. So will they try to interrupt? They will eat this. So on counter hit, you will get this. And you get a kunai afterwards for free. So it's very scary to interrupt the 1-1-2. And of course the 1-1-1 will wall splat from miles away as well. So you have a few things you can do off this. So once they start respecting the 1-1, that's when you can go for, okay, let me go up and apply pressure to them, because they will try to slice it right to loss it. So let's go up and apply our pressure. Let's go run up and do FC mix up, or run up and load them up, or run them up and pressure even more. You know, you get the idea. So 1-1, very, very good. And it's also good because the second hit on counter hit is natural to the third. So if they mash after a single jab, it's going to hit them, it's going to nail them. So mashing against Kuni is very scary. So of course, and then 1-2-4 is all natural on counter hit. So she has a 10 frame G clef kind of string, and you can hit confirm it if you're on point. You can like Twitch confirm if you're on point. So against the wall, it's also very scary because you're going to get splatted if you extend or mistime your pressure against Kuni. So, and she also has a generic 1-2, which is always good to throw edge because hers is +7, so it's always good to throw edge. Down 4-4 is also another really good poke because it's 12 frame with this much range, and it tracks opponent's side step left. So, and it pushes back a lot on block, which puts Kuni back into her optimal game. Remember, her backdash is really strong, so she's very easy. She's very easy to make whips with, right? It's very easy to make whips with this character. So, she's a lot of pushback moves. So down 4-4 is also a must to use. Now 2-2, you have to use this move. It's high mid, it's 12 frame +5. But why you must use this move is because it's one of the few moves that she has that tracks side set right. So if you feel like the opponent's going to side set right, you can keep them in check with this. And it's pretty nice, you get +5 to work with, and it's pretty fast as well. And you can also continue it. I wouldn't recommend this, I don't think it's very good. But you can also continue the third hit into set for like more pressure. If they're like respecting it. If they didn't duck it, you can go to set for more pressure. But I wouldn't really recommend, it's a bit cheesy. But definitely 2-2 as a poke on its own is worth using. And it's only it's -6, but see the pushback and block. If you single backdash afterwards, you can make a lot of things with. So definitely worth using. And I think if they mash after this anyway, the 2 will hit them. So the third hit will hit them if they mash after. But the main purpose is to stop them slice at right. So next tool is downward 1, obviously. Like downward 1 is always important for every character. Now Kuni's downward 1 is a bit weird because now it tracks side step left, it loses the side step right, but it doesn't have anything natural off it. But on counter hit, she has the whole string of counter hit of downward 1, 2, 2. It's -14 in crouch, but people normally just do the first 2 hits and then continue from there on counter if they confirm it. Or if she also has downward 1, 3. Which is natural counter hit as well. And if they're looking to duck the high, this is when you can start doing the second hit. And the second hit is natural into the third. So it's scary for them to duck against the string, especially at the wall, because she will get a full combo. So it's nice to bully them with downward 1. Keep them scared because it's extensions and just keep bullying them. However, there is one thing I really don't like about this move is it pushes back quite a bit on hit, as you can see there. So a lot of times Kuni would need to dash in again to keep pressure on the opponents. If they backdash her at downward 1, they can skip a lot of her options. So she has to like dash in and realign with them a lot after downward 1. So that's one big downside of it. But the upside is definitely all the extensions mind game. So just play around with that. And of course you have stuff like down 4, which is always important to use. high crush 12 frame low, and if they respect her afterwards, say like you do down for it while standing for or whatever, it'll beat out slower options. So once they start kind of respecting that or going for highs, this is when you can start implying your FC mix-up. So down force is always good to use with everyone. So another low that should be used is Denmark 4. Now, it's 11 damage and it's 0 on hit, but you kind of do need to use it because it's one of her few lows that are like not minus on hit or whatever. So you have to use this, absolutely. Even though it is not great, it does push back on hit, which kind of puts Kunimitsu back into her optimal range of whip punishing with her movement and down for 2, for example, or hot knee whip punishment. But if you're trying to keep pressure on the opponent, it can be hard because it's neutral and it will push back. Another good low is Denmark 3-3. This is good because Denmark 3-3 is natural, obviously, and if they try to mash after this, this will interrupt them. The Denmark 3-3-4. So when you do Denmark 3-3, you have an option to stay in crouching, and obviously you can go for your FC mix-up from here. And when they try to mash against it, you know, they risk eating this, especially against the wall, because against the wall this will wall splat. So this is another low that she has. Not amazing, but you have to use it to work with her. Another low is FC Damper 2. Now this is good because you have access into crouch quite easily. I'll talk more about set in a while. But FC Damper 2 is good because on counter hit, it's plus 15 for her, and she stays in crouching, so it's a guaranteed FC attempt. So wherever you want to go for your mids, or you want to go for your low, or whatever, or you want to just do another FC Damper 2 to be safe. Now this is good because it's minus 11, but it's a weapon, so they can't low parry it. She used their dagger to slash at them, so they cannot low parry this. So this is a low that must be used. Another move that is definitely worth using is Denmark 2. This actually tracks one way completely, and it has a natural follow-up to Denmark 2-4, and it's safe, and you can't interrupt as well. So, and why Denmark 2 is good because Denmark 2 on its own puts her in crouch. So she's plus 7 in crouch, and it high crushes as well. So you know what this means. So she's plus 7 in crouch. She can go for her while standing options or FC mix-up options. And if they're looking at for the follow-up as well, you know, they might freeze up a block and respect the follow-up. You can also use this opportunity to go for an FC mix-up. So Denmark 2, definitely one for better pokes, which is something I need to use more myself, so absolutely use this. Another move is up back 2. Now Kunimitsu kind of lacks counter hit tools, which is a big downside to the character, but you must use moves like up back 2. So on counter hit, this is a 13 frame high. On counter hit, it gives this situation. I'm not too sure of the Oki afterwards, but it seems like in most cases you'll get QCF2 if you're quick enough. But this needs to be labbed, of course. So obviously this needs to be labbed over, but up back to 13 frame high is pretty plus on hit. And animation that does that. It's not as good as Noctis, but you know, this is something we need to use with Kunimitsu. Another move, this is like the anti-neutral move, so her QCF 1+2. This has really good tracking. It's safe on block at -9, and the wall splats from pretty far as well. So this is a move that must be used with her. So you can kind of just spam Ledge, it tracks pretty far. The range, the tracking, the safety, and the wall splat, definitely a must-use move. Another one that should be used is 4-2-3. So 4-2-3 is good because it's a 13 frame high, and the follow-up, in my opinion, is hit confirmable. So if you're bullying them at the wall, this is where you can start like fishing for your 4-2-3 wall splats. So you can see it's pretty delayable. So you have enough time to hit confirm, especially in game where it's easier to hit confirm things because of animations being interrupted and such. So 4-2-3, definitely worth using as well. So you can kind of just start putting these moves together and forming a game plan with them. So another move is 4-3+4. This is good because it's an 18 frame homing. It's only -2 on block, and it's a counter hit launcher as well. So it's a counter hit launcher as well. So if you think their opponent's going to step at range, this is a definitely good way to get in, or to keep them in check from stepping. But also on block, it's only -2, so you still have options. You can still step, you can still backdash, and you can still escape stuff in retaliation. So this is definitely good to use. Now another move, her back 1+2. Now this is kind of funny because on trigger, she teleports into the air and does an unblockable attack. But it's really bad. Like, most characters can escape it if they do something fast. So it's one of those Tsubakis that where the attack itself is actually buried in the parry. So why this is good, because it's -11, but there's a lot of pushback. So most characters jabs with whiff anyway. And on hit, she gets free pussy F2. So this is definitely worth using. And just pray they don't press into it, because the parry is awful. So another move is back 2. Now back 2 is good because it's a homing power crush. It's 17 frame startup. And the block stun is really tiny. Like, the block stun is tiny. They have to be really on point to optimally punish it. And of course it wall splats. So it's pretty scary to pressure Kuni at the wall when she has this. So if you can like pressure your opponent away, and if they retaliate, you can do back 2 to steal your turn and then wall splat them. So back 2 is definitely useful, especially versus the wall. Another move, of course, is her infamous Kunitro. Why this can be cool is because at range, it's unsafe if you do it too close, but at range, you can do it at a range where they cannot reach you with your jabs, right? With their jabs. So if you do this, if you do it at range, they can't punish you at all. And on whiff, let me turn the CPU off. On whiff, there is no animation. So on whiff, there's no animation. So she can kind of safely chuck at range, because I mean, no one's gonna let Kunimitsu go this far. But if you're in this situation, this is something you can chuck out and not worry too much about being punished for it. So yeah, that's like, there's obviously like all these other options like set options and stuff like that. But these are like the standing neutral tools that Kunimitsu has, and you can kind of form a game plan around them, like using her movement to move around opponents, poke away at them, frustrate them with different one strings, and yeah. And in the next section, we're going to talk about her set stance, which is like key to her gameplay. So let's talk about her set stance, which is performed by doing 4-3. This move is really important, or this whole stance is really important, because it lets Kuni close the gap really quickly against opponents. And also, because it's a stance, she has a bunch of moves out of it. So she has a 10 frame high in set 1, which you can very easily hit confirm into the set 1-2. It has a bunch of follow-ups out of it, but don't worry about those. They're kind of gimmicky. The set 1-2 is what you want to do for the hit confirm. And of course, this is like the Kuni move. This is why she's so famous. Her set 2 is a 12 frame mid at a set stance, and it allows her to kind of approach the opponent, keep them in check from pressing buttons against her in neutral, and she gets a beefy combo afterwards. So when you have them scared of set 2, when you have them scared to kind of keep out Kuni, it's really hard to keep Kuni out. So when you have them scared to keep her out, this is when you start once doing set into crouch. Of course, you know what Kuni has from crouch. She has her FC down for 3. She has her mids from FC as well. Just her general FC mix-up in general. So she has a lot of options out of crouching. But if you want to play a bit safer with the lows, you have FC down for 2, which is a -11 unparryable low. So when you have the opponent really scared of Kunimitsu, this is when you can start going into your crouch and then start applying more pressure. Or you can do 4-3 into hold back and guards instantly. So if they try to keep you out, you'll be able to block it and then punish it or take your turn if it's really minus. So yeah, set stance is definitely crucial to Kunimitsu's gameplay. Like, it just allows her to approach so quickly to an opponent and be subtly in their face. So because she has a lot of stuff that pushes back on hit, and I think the purpose of that is because she can get in again quite easily. So yeah, set stance, super important for Kunimitsu. And of course she has, when you have set 2, you have set 2, right? But not only this is your offensive option to go to approach the opponent with, you have stuff like set 3, which it's not amazing. It is launch, punch, blow, and block at -16, and it is 0 hit up close. So what you can do is, it's a counter at launcher as well, obviously. So, but what you can do, a lot of people like to mash while standing for after this. So what you can do is dig jab, so you'll interrupt their while standing 4, and because she's +6 in their face in Epsi, this way you can go for while standing 3 or your Epsi down for 3, or if you just want to play it safe, do something, just do your safer options as well, of course, depending on your reward, you know. So that's also another flowchart you can try with. Those are really the only notable moves. She also has set grabs as well, so set 1+2 and set 1+4, which is a 1 break, and then set 1+2 is a 1+2 break. So what this means is, you know, they're pretty hard to see as well because she kind of dashes in your face, so it can kind of hard to see what the break is in an instance. So when you have them scared of the grabs and the low, this is when you can start introducing set 2 to catch them and then be +12, or you can go into duck to make them freeze up and then go for your mix-ups. So yeah, set stance, super important for Kunimitsu. It just complements her neutral game really well. So when you're looking to keep them out, and you know they're being passive, you know you're looking for a whip punish and they're freezing up and moving away, this is when you can apply set mix-ups and it's set up pressure. Now, I already went over this in my other video, so I won't go hugely into detail, but this section I'll be talking about Kunimitsu's back turn game. I just made a separate video on it because I thought it was just so important. So why back turn is important for Kunimitsu is because it's where the main juice of her offense comes through. So let's talk about it. So in back turn, she has forward 1+2, which is a -12 mid. She has back turn down 2, which is a 13 +3 on hit mid low, and she can combo off as well. So if you do this, she can combo off as well. And then of course she has her back turn grabs, which does a grip of damage, and it's a 1+2 break. And then she has her generic grabs, which is all this. So typically, because she's back turned, her limbs are masked, so you can't really see what grab she's going to go for. So it's a true 50-50 between 1+2 break or a 1-2 break. So, and if they start ducking, then you can start doing stuff like 1+2 to keep them in check. Or if you're feeling risky, forward 1+2 to launch them, or even generic hop kick or whatever. And of course, back turn down 3 is also important to use as well because it conditions the opponent on block, because it is a 10 frame low. That's +3, so +3 means she has good options from Epsi to bully you with. So the main ways into back turn is 4-2, which you can throw out in neutral because it jails on block anyway. So you can kind of just throw it to the side and just keep doing it till it hits, essentially. On block, it is -3, so you can hold back to block a lot of things, or you can hold them back to make some stuff whiff. Like if they went for a jabs or whatever, you can hold them back to make a whiff and then whip punish them. So you can kind of throw out forward 2 till it hits and then bully them. So 1+2 will keep them in check, or you can go for your grabs, or you can go for your other grab as well, your whole grab game. And when they start ducking, you can start doing 1+2, you can start doing forward 1+2, and if they're not ducking but you don't want to go for a grab, you can do down 2 as well. So yeah, she has a bunch of options as well. Or if you just want to play it safe, you can just do generic down 2, down 3 as well. So that's one move to get into back turn. Now it's her 12 frame punisher, so it's a bad habit for Kunimitsu to do her 10 frame punish on -12 moves, but really try and do forward 2 on -12 moves because this is our main way into back turn. Another way into back turn is sidestep 2. Why sidestep 2 is good is because it has an extension which if they press into, it will knock them down. So if they press into the second hit, it knocks them down to the free QCF1. So you can do sidestep 2 and you can hold forward or back. So if you hold back, you know, you're +6, and in the same situation you can go for your mids, you can go for your grabs, you can go for your low, it's the same situation. If you think on block they will try and mash against you, this is where you can start doing your generic down 3 to interrupt stuff like 13 frame mids and so on. Or if they try to mash as well, you can just turn around, be in front, and then sidestep their retaliation or backdash their retaliation, depending on what they press, right? I can't give you a clear-cut answer, it just depends on what they challenge you with. So yeah, sidestep 2 is also a good way to get into it. Now this is probably her main way to get into back turn, apart from punishing with 4-2. So at neutral, her main way into it is probably down for 3+4. Down for 3+4 is pretty good because it's a pretty chunky mid. With an option to go into forward or hold back to go into back turn at -2 on block. But it's good because it high crushes a little bit. It has some high evasion, so it will go under some jobs. Despite how it looks, it doesn't actually go through lows, despite how it looks. Now, I made a guide on this, a separate video on this, so I will watch that to go into more detail. But essentially on hit, you know, your situation is even better. You're +7 instead of +6, and your situation is even better. Just go for usual stuff. 1+2 to keep them in check safely. If you're feeling risky, forward 1+2 to launch them. Or if there's just ducking, if there's just stand blocking, you can go for your grab mix-ups, or you can go for your down 2. Now another way to go into back turn, it's kind of gimmicky, but it is another way. 1+2, hold back, and then you're in their face immediately. This can be good for tech rolls. So if you make them tech roll, and then you run up to them and do this, this is another way to get into it. And also, if you do FC down for 3 into 4 for 2, and then you do empty set forward, you're in the back turn situation. So you're in the back turn situation if they tech roll. So they can't do anything about the back turn down 2, so, or they can't do anything about the forward 1+2. This covers both tech roll directions, and it cannot be interrupted. So this is also a good way to get into back turn mix-ups. So like I said with Kunimitsu at the start of the video, you have to get really creative with this character to really maximize her offense, because her lows are really bad. So you need to get into back turn to get the most out of her pressure, her mix-ups, and the damage potential out of them. So in this section I will talk about her two stances, her Katon stance and her MUS stance. So why they are good, why I don't really regard them as good, is because for starters with the MUS stance, she does a low elevate or she does a mid elevate. So she has two moves in MUS stance. But it's not really that good as a mix-up because the low is pretty telegraphed and is pretty unsafe on block. But what you can do MUS for is the empty flip into FC. So they're looking out for a move out of MUS stance, and then you cancel into FC, and then this is where you can kind of apply your mix-up. It's a little bit gimmicky, but that's one purpose of it. However, there is a really popular tech trap that she has with MUS stance. So if you do wall splat, jab, downward 1, and then go into MUS stance. If they tech roll, you get a combo afterwards. So you get a whole ass combo out of it. If they tech trap into the MUS 2. So if they tech trap, they're going to eat this and then CD2 afterwards, and they get a full combo. So let's talk about the Katon stance now. The Katon stance is used by doing 1+2. She has access to it after a few strings, especially 1-1 into 1+2. Now, I don't really have a high opinion of this stance, but her Katon 4 is a low, her Katon 3 is kind of a hit convertible mid into the launcher. Now, Katon can be okay because when she teleports, she disappears from the game, literally, moves will go through her as she's teleporting. So you can kind of use this in neutral if they try to approach you, and then their moves just whiff on a teleport, and you can hit confirm. If you're on point, you can hit confirm the move. It'd be easier in game when there's Twitch confirms. And then when they're looking out for that, you can kind of go in with the low. The low has a follow-up with Katon 4-2, which is natural on counter hit. But I wouldn't really recommend doing this. So the Katon 4 tracks one way pretty well. So maybe it can be okay to approach with it. But yeah, I think you just have better options, to be honest. So, and the Katon 2 is just some mids. It's safe. It's unsafe. I wouldn't worry about this too much. Now Katon 1 is okay because on counter hit she is +12. And what that means is she gets 4-4-2. If with execution she gets 4-4-4-2. So you can imagine this is pretty good against the wall. And there you go. It's pretty good against the wall. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about these two stances. I wouldn't really recommend using them. It can be okay after the 1-1 into the back turn transition because this is your main way into back turn on Oki, for example. So if they tech roll, you can run up, go into back turn, and then do your back turn stuff that we mentioned in the previous back turn section. Other than that, I don't think there's much use in the move. You can do 1-1 into Katon, and when they respect it, if they like to slice that right, the third hit, because you're supposed to slice that right against this, you can do Katon 4, which will track in that direction. And if they're ducking for it, you can do Katon 3 to hit confirm. But again, not something I would really recommend. It's pretty gimmicky. So yeah, I was just kind of disregard these two stances, to be honest. So I just want to say thank you for watching my tutorial. I think to conclude in the end is that Kunimitsu is definitely a tricky character to play. She's definitely hard to pick up. Again, her lows are kind of bad, so you need to get creative with her fence and to find ways into back turn. That's the main thing with her. You need to find ways into back turn to get the most of the mix-ups there, and how to use her set to control the neutral, as I've shown earlier on, and how to use her jabs and her different one strings to kind of complement for the lack of her lows, and the throw game that she has from her set stance, from her back turn, and the mix-ups she has associated with those in terms of mids and lows. So yeah, I think Kunimitsu will end up around mid tier or so. She requires a lot of conditioning from the opponent to actually like implement her pressure, because her lows and such are pretty weak. So yeah, anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped. If you have any more questions, just let me know in the comments and I'll try and answer them as best of my ability. And thank you for watching.